Hello, everyone, and welcome to Louis Van Amstel Podcasts with Louis, me. This one is going to probably get really emotional because I'm going to talk about 1994. Probably the most important year in my life, the most successful year of my life. The year I started my spiritual journey, the saddest year in my life. I think that year I experienced the most diverse set of emotions a human can go through when it includes your most successful year ever and death at the same time. But I guess because of the success and that death is why I started my spiritual journey. So to preface 1994, I have talked about 1994, but I glimpsed over the facts. In 1992, I already did a podcast. That was probably my loneliest year, my most insecure year. I made a very important decision that I made for me, but I wasn't sure if it was the right one. It was my gut feeling, but because I was in the final at the World and European Championship, both Latin and 10 dance, we were national champion in Latin, in 10 dance. We're in the final of standard, the ballroom dances. And then I stopped in the middle of it. Now I felt this small, but deep inside I needed to make that choice. The whole podcast is explaining in depth that whole process. But in December 1993, Julie Friar, my dance partner, and I got back together. And here we start the year 1994. So you have to imagine in 1991 and 1992, we were in every single final. We were in the top 3 of World 10 Dance Championship. We were national champion. And I stopped, even had a different dance partner. Julie had a different dance partner. We come back together. But the dancing industry said, you made that choice. You made the worst choice. Your career is over. And so that I have in the back of my head at the end of 1993. So here we go into 1994. And just quickly, there are 3 major championships in England. It starts with the United Kingdom Championships, previously aired by the BBC, televised no longer. Then we have the Blackpool, the Open British Blackpool Championships. And then in October, we have the International Championships at the Royal Albert Hall in London. So the first one of the year is the United Kingdom Championships. And in 1991, Julie and I were in the final. 1992, we're third. We split up. So in 1994, you think, we will just be third again, huh? No. We were not in the final. We didn't make the semifinal, but if you were in the final in 1991, you were third in 1992, and then not making the final. So, I was pissed off. I was. But what it did was, because I came back after 1992, feeling defeated. I didn't want to do this anymore. Watch that episode first, then watch this one. I didn't want to do it anymore. I needed to figure out who I wanted to be and who I was. Well, I did. By 1993, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to dance, but on my terms. Well, 1994, I had long hair. To here, I was the first one in our ballroom industry with a ponytail. All flat back ponytail. And I actually wore a shirt like this. I didn't like these big butterfly arms. I just wanted to dance and make it about the dance. So I had a shirt like this and a ponytail. So add that to the fact that the industry was sending us a message. Well, me. Oh, you think you can just come back and get the same spot? And I'm thinking, well, if the dance quality is there, why not? Well, they kept us out of the final, and they even had the audacity to say, if you would have had short hair, fit in the regular shirts that everyone else is wearing, you would have probably been in the final. Well, that fired me up. I am not cutting my hair. I am not changing. There are no rules that say you have to wear a certain thing. So, okay, this was January. Now, a month later, February, we have the national championships of the Netherlands. Now, there was another couple, Jan and Miriam Swijs, a brother and sister team, that were not even close to us when we were in the final at the World Championships and all that in 1991, not in 1992. And they made the final at that United Kingdom Championships, and we did not. But we laughed about it. We laughed about it because I thought, oh, you're sending us a clear message. Career is over, and you're going to have to work for it if we ever would consider bringing you back into the final. Shouldn't it be about the dancing anyway? Anyway, it didn't. It pissed me off, but it turned around into, you turned me on. You fired me up. So did Julie. So we were in it together. We were solid. So we go into that national championships in February, and we lose to Jan and Miriam Swijs, who 2 years prior didn't even get close to us. They won 3 dances. We won 2. Now we are going into the first televised competition in Germany, which we've done already twice. We were in the final. So we did that competition, and the Germans, Ralph and Olga Müller, were first. Guess who was second? We were, Julie and I, and Jan and Miriam Swijs in the back of the final. So as the months progress, we started getting better results. And we started feeling, you know what? Perseverance is starting to pay off. And things were going well. This was March. This was the layered dance, coming back strong. Just after, sorry about that, I will share. After the national championships in Holland, where we had just become second, my best friend, my first dance teacher, the owner of the dance studio where I started dancing, with her being my first teacher, she bought the studio from her stepmom, and all the 90s that we danced together, we rehearsed at that studio. Well, her name was Marcella Arends. Even though the studio was called Marcella van Altena, that's because her stepmom's last name was Van Altena, but her name is Marcella Arends. She was my best friend and confidant. In 1992, when I broke down from a trip from Japan, I shared with her that I couldn't do this anymore. She was the one that said, you have to follow your heart, your gut, and if this is not what you want to do, then make that choice for you. It's important that you are important. No one in my life that time thought that way except for her, my best friend. Well, in February, she was diagnosed with liver cancer. And she was given months, not years, months. So just as Julie and I found our strength to fight back for the career that we believe we deserved, we just dance. And as that was happening, right after the national championships, to hear that Diagnosis, she's 34. 2 years prior, she already fought cancer and beat it. So that was emotional, but she fought it, so we were happy. Then she was diagnosed and with months to live. So when we went to Germany, when we went on the dance floor, there was now an added reason. I was fighting on behalf of Marcella, my first dance teacher, who, after a few years, then said, I can't help you anymore. You need to move on to another person. And that became Ruud Vermeer. But Marcella was always there, supporting, because after all, we saw each other every day because we were rehearsing at her studio. So here we go to Germany, and then we become second. And then in May, we did a few other competitions, and things were starting to look up for us. And then in May, Marcella took a dive. And now what was supposed to be months was going to be weeks. And why am I... This necklace is a friendship necklace. When I bought it, you break it, it's half a heart, and you give it to your best friend. And I gave this one to her a year, 2 years prior, so she was wearing 1/2. I wore the other. So in early May, mid-May, I was with her sitting on her deathbed at home. And I asked if I can, once she passes, or she's still alive, but I wanted that back. So I can make these two a whole, solidified with gold, and keep it with me. Gosh, this is 30 years ago. And as I'm explaining and telling you this all, it's like it's yesterday. So anyway, I got it back. End of May, Marcella passes. 34 years old. Healthy. Didn't drink. Didn't smoke. Dies of liver cancer. The funeral was a week later. And I don't know where Julie and I found the strength, but it was her wish that Julie and I would dance a rumba next to her coffin during the memorial service. I want to share this with you, what kind of impact this woman Marcella had. It's a pretty big auditorium. She's not a celebrity. She's a business owner of a small dance studio. 1,500 people came. The auditorium seats 750. People were lined up outside. And here we come in, and I'm shaking as I was then. Her father talked. Her grandmother was talking. And then Mariah Carey's Without You starts playing, which was Marcella's favorite song. Julie and I sat next to each other. We were bawling, listening to Marcella's father, her grandmother. And then when that music started playing, something came over us. We got up and we danced literally next to the coffin, a rumba. And something happened. No crying. It was an experience that I can't even describe. It was euphoric. It was like she was sending us this energy, and I can't explain it. But people even afterwards said, we don't know what happened. How you go from bawling your eyes out to shining like a bright star, and I don't know where it came from. Anyway, that funeral was 4 days before the Open British in Blackpool. But now we went there to represent Marcella. And it became so different dancing, being reminded about life itself, that you treasure it. So we go from a funeral to the biggest competition ever. And it's a long competition. The Australian couple, Paul Green and Karen Rufers, won. The Germans, Ralph and Olga Müller, they were second, and we got third. By the way, Jan en Mirjam Swijs, the Dutch couple, as much as I respected their intentions as dancers, they didn't make the final at all. So then over the summer, we go to New York City for 3 months, and we kind of focus. We need to let go of, we need to focus on something fun, because my best friend just passed away, my teacher, my confidant, the studio owner of the dance studio. So we go kind of to explore New York City for 3 months. We did very little training. We had some Dutch friends visit over the summer. Marcella's boyfriend, husband, they weren't married, but he came. He was already one of my closest friends. He inherited the dance studio, which he still owns today. Then we do a competition in Miami. It's a big competition. And we lose to a couple that had just moved from South Africa, was behind us at Blackpool, and now beat us in Miami. And oh my gosh, was that an eye-opener. But that was not going to happen again. But we knew we could only blame us. We did not practice all summer. We did salsa, West Coast swing. We went clubbing, like dance clubs. And we came back with a vengeance. New York was great for 3 months, but now back to work. This was September. And then we go, the European Championships was in Paris, early October, and the Australians couldn't compete because they're in Australia. The Europeans is only for European countries. So then we compete. The Germans are first, we're second, but they won 3 dances, we won 2. Now that's interesting, because we started the year not even being in the final at the United Kingdom Championship. So we thought, progress, love it. Then we have the International Championships, which was a week later. Now the Australians win, the Germans second, we were third. So, okay, we did a great job of coming back. Then a week after that, oh my gosh, 3 major competitions, is the World Championships 1994 in October in Germany, in the hometown of the Germans. So, what was everyone assuming? The Germans are going to win. And then for us, can we solidify that third position? What will the Australians do in mainland Europe. So we make the final. Great. First hurdle, you first want to make it to the final. And then the second German couple was also strong. So we shouldn't just look ahead, we should look behind too. Well, anyway, we start the final, dance number 1, and the Germans won, Australians second, we were third, second Germans were fourth. We do the second dance, cha-cha. Germans won, we were second, the Australians third, and the Germans, second German couple, fourth. Now we're going into rumba. Germans only got 3 firsts out of 7. So there are 4 firsts left. Will they go to the Australians? To us? To the second German couple? Oh my gosh, talk about nerve-wracking. Well, the Australians got their scores, not 1 first, but they actually got a few fourths. So now I thought, oh my goodness, it might actually go to the second German couple. No firsts. They got mostly thirds and a fourth. I am good at money math, but at that point in time I got so nervous, it got to our scores. 4 firsts, which meant we won the rumba. The Germans second, Australians third, second German couple fourth, but almost third. Now we go to Paso Doble. The Germans get 5 seconds, 2 firsts. Australians were now fighting for third and fourth, and when it came to our marks, 5 firsts. We won the Paso Doble. Now, when we dance, we wait for our marks. The visual marking is in between the dances. And by the time it came to our Paso Doble scores and we came back, Julie and I were just so happy that we had solidified that we were actually beating the Australians and we were going to be second. The Germans were already going to be first on paper because it was in their hometown. So we were calm. Our coach, Ruud Vermey, I will never ever forget it. He screamed at us because there were still 2 other couples that needed their scores. I'm going to just say it. You fuckers, if you motherfucking win this jive, you are the new world champions. What? How can it be? We were third. We were third in the first dance and we were second in the second dance. How can we win with a third place? If you win this, oh my gosh, he was so mad that we were so calm. He realized that we had no idea that we could actually win. So at that point in time that he said that, the MC goes, and now it's time for jive. Julie and I mean, we were in limbo, but we knew one thing. We were going to go for it. So we did, and I got a stitch, but nothing would stop me. Well, it came to the final marks, and the Germans got 3 firsts. So the rumba was about to repeat, but still, we would not assume anything because of the Australians and the second German couple. Well, the Australians got again thirds and fourths, no first. Neither did the Germans, but they got mostly thirds and some fourths. We got 4 firsts. And we won. Not only the dance. We were world champion. These emotions are so conflicting, in a sense, that in that January 94, we didn't make the final. We had to work our way up. My best friend is diagnosed with liver cancer. We danced rumba next to the coffin. 4 or 5 days later, we danced the biggest competition, the Open British, and get third. We go for an spiritual exploration to New York City. We lose to a major couple. And then we win the world championships. Beats me. Well, after the national anthem, it's always custom that the winning couple does an honor dance. Guess what dance it was? Rumba. 5 months prior, doing that same rumba next to Marcella's coffin. And then, as honor dance of becoming world champion. If that ain't life, I don't know what is. Oh, I'm sorry. But I want to be transparent with you guys. Because these tears are also tears of joy, tears of confidence, tears of anger turned feeling like a champion. No, being a champion. And all those naysayers that had something to say about my career. Fuck you all. That was a feeling I also had. Sadness, euphoria, anger. It all happened in 1994. So let me be clear. I did not just give you my middle finger and was not cussing at you. But that was a feeling I had in 1994. So here, I believe Marcella had everything to do with it. She guided us. If you're spiritual, not spiritual, religious, atheist, I quite honestly don't care. In my heart, she was there to guide me, to guide us. And that dance was in honor of Marcella. Right after the national anthem, winning the gold medal, dancing on that floor. Oh my gosh, that rumba took on a different meaning yet again. Fun aftermath before I'm done with this podcast. We had a whole bus from the dance studio, including Marcella's boyfriend, husband. They weren't married, but they lived like husband and wife. They came with the whole bus from the dance studio, and they saw us become second, and they were happy. But because of what happened earlier that year in Blackpool, we were third. We were second in Germany multiple times that year. They thought, well, the world's just going to be second. Go get second place. Get second place. How amazing that is. And then I called. Os is his name. Who owns the dance studio. And I had him on the phone. They had a party at the dance studio, which they do every Saturday, free dancing. And I called him and said, we just became world champion. No, I don't believe you. You're pulling my leg. He said something else, but I said F you once. That's enough. No. So he did not believe me. So I called Wendy Salmons, the manager of the studio, the girl I grew up with, my big sister. Well, she's only 3 months older, who I love and adore. Well, I guess I convinced her and she convinced him. Well, so what we then didn't know is when we flew back from Stuttgart, Germany, and we arrived at Schiphol Airport, oh my gosh, Julie and I did not see that come. Not only all my friends were there, journalists were there too. Apparently, this became national news. And we woke up Monday morning, the National Telegraph, which I guess here is like the New York Times or the Washington Post. Well, that was the biggest newspaper. We were on the front page. And what I love so much, and this is the conclusion of this podcast. In January of 94, I had long hair. By October, I had longer hair. We won the World Championships with a ponytail. And guess what was the picture on the front page of the National Telegraph? Me, us, with my ponytail, with the gold medal, and that is a moment I'll never forget, and that's a moment I use right now as coach, as father. It ain't over until I say it's over. No one rules the rooster but you. And I believe 1994 is that year that gave me so much. It's 30 years ago, but it's still, as you can see clearly, I have so many emotions from that year. And I believe I know who my guardian angel is. Thank you.